But let's return to one of our top stories today, and it's the ongoing political crisis in Israel. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's long reign could be coming to an end as a coalition headed by Naftali Bennett is looking to form a government to oust him. It's a real threat to Netanyahu's grip on power amid 2 years of electoral instability, a showing of the growing anti-Netanyahu sentiment in the Knesset as well. Asif Shuja is a senior research fellow at the National University of Singapore Middle East Institute. He joins us live from Singapore this morning to unpack the situation on the ground there. And Asif, it's very clear that Netanyahu's rivals are now circling to oust him. What's your view? Are his days numbered?
Well, we can analyze this issue from two perspectives. The first, of course, is whether Netanyahu's tenure has actually ended. My view is that he still has some days, to maneuver or to use any other card he may be having up his sleeves. Because once Wednesday deadline is done, then after that there will be some time for him before the vote of confidence is done. Before that, if he can get some members from the Knesset in his favor, then he can actually form a government. But as far as I can see, there is a grave opposition against his rule for another 12 years. That's the long reign. And a lot has changed during this period of time. What Netanyahu has done is actually appropriated the state in his name. That is something which is not to the liking of his opposition. Of course, nobody would like it. And what has been the outcome, that is also very important. Israel is not looking very secure because of these 12 years of reign. There are many geopolitical issues which are can be given in illustration to that point of view. That is why this opposition is firming up, and now we can see that there is a real opposition to his rule, and this new coalition is also very diverse in nature. So we'll have to see what exactly comes up in future.
Well, let's see if that leads me to my next point, because we know that Israeli elections are won and lost on security. Clearly, it's been a very tense time in the country. At the same time, if we saw a new government being formed, this could be one of the most wide-ranging coalitions in Israel's history. A lot of fragility there. Do you think it's likely to succeed?
Well, that is a very good point, because, we have 4 elections in 2 years. So this is the coalition era in the Israeli politics. But I think, of course, it can also not last for some time. But what we can clearly see is that there is a clear opposing voice of Netanyahu. And as you have rightly alluded to the security aspect of it, Israel, as I have maintained, is not looking very secure under the reign of Netanyahu. And currently, whatever has just happened, you see in terms of Hamas and the war with the Hamas, and most importantly, I think what I would allude to is the geopolitical change that has happened. This is the first time in the history of Israel-US relationship that US president has won an election on an anti-Israeli agenda. What I mean by that is that Joe Biden had clearly articulated his intention to join the nuclear deal, which Netanyahu had said that it is clearly against the security interest of Israel. So that is how one can say that Biden has won the American election on this or maybe apparently anti-Israeli agenda. So that had itself weakened Netanyahu's position. And since then, Biden has actually come up with the stance that he had clearly articulated even before his election. He is clearly very much angered by Netanyahu as a person, because even if he had won the election, after that and before his swearing-in ceremony, Benjamin Netanyahu, in collaboration with Donald Trump, the previous president, had made a lot of maneuvering to append any resurrection of the nuclear deal. So these are the issues which will definitely come up. And now we can see that Iran is having some sort of arrangement with the IAEA through which we can have some access to the Iranian nuclear program in future. But what is happening now is very dangerous. They have enriched their uranium up to 60% level. So these are really not auguring well for the Israeli security.